Good morning. Today is Friday, January the 30th, year of our Lord 2026, and welcome to the Daily Word. A decree to help the Jews. The story of Esther, and Esther, I'm going to read all of chapter 8. So the whole story of Esther is where Haman put a plan together to destroy all the Jews. So through history, Hitler wasn't the first. But Haman basically tricked the king into signing a law on a certain time to kill all the Jews. But Esther, who was the queen, was Jew, unbeknownst to anyone other than her cousin Mordecai. So anyway, she went to the king to do something about that. And her famous words was, "If I perish, I perish," because you can't go to the king unannounced. But he loved her so much. She was beautiful. The Bible says that he held out his signet staff so that she can come to him. And once he handed that out, he would come to her and she made the request. But ultimately, in this story, Haman was impaled and killed on the same pole that he had put together for Mordecai. But anyway, I'm just going to read all of chapter 8. This is the decree that Esther put into place, her and Mordecai, to be able to defend themselves on that day, that the decree that the king said he couldn't reverse, the day that everyone can kill the Jews. So it changed everything, it turned everything around. So let me go ahead and read Esther chapter 8. On that same day, King Xerxes came the property of Haman. King Xerxes gave the property of Haman, the enemy of the Jews, to Queen Esther. Then Mordecai was brought before the king, for Esther had told the king how they were related. The king took off his signet ring, which he had taken back from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai, and Esther appointed Mordecai to be in charge of Haman's property. Then Esther went again before the king, falling down at his feet and begging him with tears to stop the evil plot devised by Haman the Agagite against the Jews. Again the king held out his gold scepter to Esther, so she rose and stood before him. Esther said, "If it please the king, and if I found favor with him, and if he thinks it's right, and if I'm pleasing to him, let there be a decree that reverses the orders of Haman, son of the Hammedatha the Agagite, who ordered the Jews throughout all kings' province should be destroyed. For how can I endure to see my people and my family slaughtered and destroyed?" The king Xerxes said to Queen Esther and Mordecai the Jew, "I have given Esther the property of Haman, and he has been impaled on a pole because he tried to destroy the Jews. Now, go ahead and send a message to the Jews in the king's name, telling them whatever you want, and seal it with the king's signet ring. But remember that whatever has already been written in the king's name and is sealed with his signet ring can never be revoked." So they still can go kill the Jews that day. So on June 25th, the king's secretaries were summoned, and a decree was written exactly as Mordecai dictated. It was sent to the Jews and the highest officers, the governors, and the nobles of the 127 provinces stretching from India to Ethiopia. The decree was written in the scripts and languages of all the peoples of the empire, including that of the Jews. The decree was written in the name of King Xerxes and sealed with the king's signet ring. Mordecai sent the dispatches by swift messengers who rode fast horses, especially bred for the king's service. The king decree gave the Jews in every city authority to unite to defend their lives. They were allowed to kill, slaughter, and annihilate anyone of any nationality province who might attack them or their children and wives, and to take the property of their enemies. That day chosen for the event throughout all the provinces of King Xerxes was March 7th of the next year. A copy of this decree was to be issued as law in every province and proclaimed to all people, so that the Jews would be ready to take revenge on their enemies on the appointed date. So urged on by the king's command, the messengers rode out swiftly on fast horses, bred for the king's service. The same decree also proclaimed in the fortress of Susa. Then Mordecai left the king's presence wearing the royal robe of blue and white, the great crown of gold, and an outer cloak of fine linen and purple, and the people of Susa celebrated the new decree. The Jews were filled with joy and gladness and were honored everywhere. In every province and city, wherever the king's decree arrived, the Jews rejoiced and had a great celebration and declared a public festival and holiday. And many of the people of the land became Jews themselves, for they feared what the Jews might do to them. Anyway, I'll leave it there. God bless you all. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday. God willing, we'll see you again on Saturday.